I woke up bright and early and got myself ready as I did on any typical weekday morning. At that time, we only had 2 children, so I kissed my wife and my 4-year-old and 1-year-old sons goodbye. Little did I know that it was the last time I'd see them under the light of a relatively innocent existence where massive bombings and terroristic threats of a large scale could never happen on American soil. I got on the train to Hoboken and from there got on the PATH train and made my way to the World Trade Center. I remember clearly what a beautiful morning it was with a bright blue sky, even less cloudy than today. It couldn't be any bluer, and there was certainly no indication that this day would be any different than any other. I stopped at a store called the Children's Place in the concourse underneath the World Trade Center. I had a coupon that expired that day, September 11, 2001. I actually still have it. For the Children's Place, September 11, 2001. I was going to buy a jacket for my 2 sons, each, and I couldn't remember which size they were, so I figured I'll just buy it later. I'll come back to the World Trade Center later, I'll come back to the Children's Place later and use my coupon. I'll call my wife from work. I obviously never got that chance, and I do still have the coupon. I made my way out of the building and started to walk toward my office a few blocks away. As I tended to do, I had loud music blaring in my ears, and I even remember I was listening to a group called Radiohead, and I could hear nothing going on around me. I also remember that my briefcase got caught that day on a construction scaffolding and tore, basically ruining it. I remember thinking, is this some indication of what my day is going to be like? I had no idea. As I got to my office, some colleagues were already looking out the window, and we wondered if there was a ticker tape parade going on in the area, as there was paper flying everywhere, though we did notice some of it was burnt. It wasn't long before we heard the reports, which at that time were saying that a small airplane had hit the tower. A colleague and I foolishly decided to walk over and see what was going on. We were a couple of blocks away when I heard a sound that I'll never ever forget. The sound of another airplane second before it hit the second tower. And we heard the crash afterwards. We quickly made our way back to the office, and I'll skip over the next several hours, which were filled with horror and sheer confusion as we wondered what was happening and how and if we'd ever get out of the city and back home. We obviously did eventually find our way back home, and I'll never forget the wonderful feeling of entering Glen on the mainline train right across the street, seeing my town. And as I got off the train, a first responder greeted me immediately, asked me if I was okay, and handed me a bottle of water. It wasn't only the action, but the true concern in his voice, in his eyes, in his manner, that says everything that needs to be said about our town. We all share the experience of the horrible events of that day, but Glen made sure that we, who were able to make it back home, had as soft a landing as possible. Our world changed that day, but I knew that in Glen with the assistance of family, friends, and neighbors, such as the folks that started Grace, we'd forge a path forward together in a post-9/11 world.